just kept saying, God, do what's best. You know, if they gotta die, let them die, but don't let them suffer.
Surprise, surprise.
Okay, we were coming off Sunderman Road, and you turned right, which would be taking like northeast direction, or northeasterly direction, toward Marcola, but you didn't go clear to Marcola.
Right.
I think that's what you're saying.
I went up to where the front side or the back side, you call it, of Sunderman Road is, right up there by the bridge, and that's it. And then we came back down, and
I had asked you how fast you usually drive that, and you
usually go about 35 or so. Yeah.
People honking.
No, there's hardly anybody out on the road.
I mean, when you drive like that, is that how you usually drive out to that area?
Well, we haven't been out to that area the kids and I have never been out in that area, ever. But whenever we do our driving, it's that slow. And no, there's hardly ever anybody. We usually go in the evening, because that's the quietest time of the day for us. We've already had our supper, and the kids are being wound down from school and stuff like that. So that's usually we go out towards the evening and do our driving, and nobody's ever out. Everybody's at home eating.
You mentioned about, you just said you'd never been out in that area ever.
Except that my dad took me about 2 weeks after I got here. He took me up Marcola to, I don't know wherever that is up there, and it crosses over, but anyway, somehow we got on Deerhorn Road, and we came back down Deerhorn.
Alright, the thing I don't understand, though, is she says we usually go out sightseeing in the evening, and, you know, after they've gotten out of school, they already had their dinner. But this incident happened like 11:30 at night. Why would you be out sightseeing at 11:30 at night when you can't see anything? That doesn't make sense to me.
But you've been out to the Plurds before.
Right, I've been out to Heather's house.
A couple of times.
Yeah, the first night I was here, we went out to Heather's. I took her home. My dad showed me how to get there, and it was at night. And I didn't remember it very well, but I remember.
How did you meet her?
We started. Whenever you start in a post office, you have to go. Excuse me, you have to go through training.
Oh.
And
she's with the post office department.
yeah, she's a carrier also. And we started the same day, and we were in the same training class. We were the only two people in the training class. So that's how I met her.
All right. And what else were we talking about that didn't get on the tape?
Mostly about Nick.
Oh, you'd made a phone call and talked with
Karen.
Karen, okay.
Karen, which is the girl. Right. I was saying how I didn't want Nick to find out about this, because Nick is the type of a person that doesn't like hassles. I explained to you how I had viral meningitis at the first of the year, and he turned his back on me. And I don't really think it was so much the illness as the fact that it was a kink. It was something that he had to deal with, and he didn't want to. He likes a nice, smooth life. He likes women to take care of him and cater to him, and he just sits back. All he has to do is work.
Is that what you do?
And yeah, but so does his wife.
Oh.
But so he's got it made either way. But he enjoyed being with me more. We had a lot more things to do that were fun.
Actually, if you go back to one of the other videos I posted, actually the video about the secret recordings between her and Knickerbocker, you can, like, even she admits he went back and forth. Like, to say, oh, well, he kind of turned his back on me when I had meningitis, well, maybe he just went back to his wife. She's, oh, because he don't like kinks. He don't have to like taking care of people. But, I mean, and this is what narcissists will do, is they'll take a certain situation and they will flip it to fit their narrative. Okay, yeah, he might have turned his back on her, but it doesn't mean it was for that, is my point. And like, maybe there was some other reason he turned his back on her at that time. Maybe it had nothing to do with the illness. Maybe it was something she said or something she did.
There were just ways that I made him happier than she did. And so that's why he felt a stronger attraction to me. But with me being out of the state, the attraction, if he wanted to have just a little bit better, he's got it fine with his wife. They don't get along all the time, but basically they do. But if he wants the stronger attraction with me, he had to move to Oregon, and he didn't want to. So anyway, that was a kink. But
so see what I mean? Is like maybe it was something other than the meningitis. Maybe it was because she was out of state, and he was like, you know what? I don't feel like moving out of state. So maybe, and this is the way narcissists would trip themselves up. Really, honestly, is like I said, they'll give you facts. Okay, well, I had this illness, and then he turned his back on me. But he knew the only way to be with me was to move to Oregon, and he didn't want to move out of state. So it's literally contradicting itself. And that's just the way they do, and that's how they trip themselves up, is they contradict their own statements. It's like, oh, well, he turned his back on me for the illness, then turn right around and say, well, he didn't want to move out of state to be with me. You see what I mean?
I was saying that I didn't want to tell him about this incident because I knew it would scare him off for good. And I didn't want that. I don't know what I had hoped, I guess, just that he'd never find out or something. But how do you not find out when somebody's dying? But I guess I just didn't want to face him with it. I just didn't want to talk to him about it yet. But
she was hoping that he would not find out that she shot her 3 kids. Because she thought that would make him not want to be with her. And she had already mentioned he's been in and out of the situationship. This is not even a relationship. This is a situationship because this is a married man and she's a married woman, or separated woman, whatever you want to call it, but still married. But the dude's a clearly married dude. You see what I mean? It's like you said, well, he turned his back on me because he didn't like kinks and I had an illness. Like, it seems like to her, everything she's doing as far as the information she's hiding from him or the information she's providing to him is about him. Like, she's literally... And honestly, this is why she did what she did. It was because to get him. Because she felt like that's the reason he did not want to move to Oregon. Because if you watch the video about, like I said, the one where the secretly recorded videos between them two, he clearly stated, well, I think you did it because, you know, you knew I didn't want to move to Oregon and you thought this was the only way to be with me. And so when you're listening to her story, and this, mind you, she was in the hospital. This was a fresh interview before she ever got recorded, or before the recorded phone calls between her and Knickerbocker. This was before that. So when you hear what he said about, you know, you felt like that was what you had to do to get me to come to Oregon, and then you listen to this, you kind of hear a connection there. Because she's like I said, everything she says is about how he would feel about it. Well, how does he feel about me having this illness? How does he feel if he finds out I did this? How does he feel if he finds out about that? You know, and it's all about, and her real concern is how he's going to view her, not necessarily the situation.
I called that call to talk to some friends about old times and old things and just get your mind off of all this stuff that's happening here. And I talked to Karen. I tried to talk to Chuck, but Chuck was already out on the streets. I talked to Karen, and she said that I should talk to Nick. And I said I didn't know, and then she said, well, he's right here. And so she went and got him and told him that I'd been shot and the kids had been shot. And so he came and talked to me. And he said, well, Diane, you sure did it this time. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, I told you never to stop for anybody on the road. And I said, yeah, I know. What do you do now, you know? He says, well, I bet you never do it again. I said, you're right, I won't. And there was no real consolation there. He did say, take care of yourself. But he also said, don't come back here, I don't want to see you. And it just really crushed me because what I really needed was a hand to just hold me and make me feel like everything's not as bad as it is. There was a time once when I was sick and he taught me how to make a hot toddy. I mean, that's as close as he got, but at least he extended a hand. And
you see what I mean? Let's play that one back.
I bet you never do it again. I said, you're right, I won't. And there was no real consolation there. He did say, take care of yourself. But he also said, don't come back here, I don't want to see you. And it just really crushed me because what I really needed was a hand to just hold me.
And honestly, this is why I wanted to play this back, because I wanted y'all to hear that part right there. Is that there was no real consolation, but there was a little bit when he said, take care of yourself, but then turned around and said, I don't want to see you again. And she said it crushed me because I really needed a helping hand. And what do they call that? There's a term for it in the medical field. I can't think of the name of the term for it, but if you could think of it, please put it in the comments. But it's where they come up with these illnesses or these situations to draw attention to themselves so that they can get sympathy. I cannot remember. I've heard it so many times. If you can think of it, please put it in the comments. Like, if I see it and hear it, I'll know it. But you know what I mean? Where they literally create situations so that they can get attention, so that they can get somebody to take care of them. And as I stated in the very first Diane Downs video that I covered, that was the beginning of it. But I mean, if you can't tell by now that she did this and she did it for him, I don't know what to tell you, because I mean, it's like literally all the red flags are there, you know. But I just wanted to point that out. It's like it crushed her because he was like, look, you know, I don't want to see you again in this and that, and she's like, I really needed a helping hand, but she wasn't. Like, through that part, the problem was her kids were not mentioned. It was more about how it affected her. And that's what I wanted to point out, is that it wasn't because she was sad about her kids. It was because she needed some affection.
And make me feel like everything's not as bad as it is. There was a time once when I was sick and he taught me how to make a hot toddy. I mean, that's as close as he got, but at least he extended a hand. And this time he didn't even do that. I don't know, it just was not good. And I knew it wouldn't be, because Nick doesn't like kinks. He doesn't like wrinkles in the works. So this morning he was talking to Barbara. I called Barbara this morning to talk to her. And yes. Barbara. She's the lady at the carrier bar. She hands out accountables to the carriers. They have to take out postage and stuff like that. Yeah. Okay. I called her and talked to her. Because I had just been talking to Barbara about an hour or two before we took off. I was telling her how great things were and how the kids and I were going to the park and the river and the beach, and the kids they found some sand dollars and a crab claw and all kinds of stuff. You know, I'm telling her how great things were. And she said it sounds like things are neat. She's ready for a move and all that stuff. And so anyway, I just needed to talk to her again, just to see if she knew what had happened. And so I called her this morning. And she said that Nick came up to the carrier bar, and she said, well, I suppose you heard what happened to Diane. And he said, yeah, I did. And it sounded kind of harsh to her, and so she looked at him like, and she said, well, doesn't it bother you? And he says, I don't know, Barb. I just hope I'm wrong, but I think she did it. And
mind you, this was before the secretly recorded phone calls where he admitted that he thinks she did it. And this is also something narcissists will do, is they need that validation. They need somebody to believe them. They want and need somebody to give them admiration and sympathy. They feed off of that. That's what builds their ego. They need that attention. And he's not giving it to her. So she had to reach out to someone else that would give her that attention, that admiration, that validation. Because narcissists need that in order to keep going. That's what feeds their ego. That's what feeds their narcissistic personality disorder, is the validation, the admiration, the sympathy, the attention. They need that. They need to feel special to everybody's eyes. And so if somebody is acting like they're nothing, they're going to reach out to somebody else that makes them feel like they're special.
She said my jaw just dropped down the floor. Couldn't believe he said that. And she says, don't you know how much Diane loves those kids? He goes, yeah, but she loves me too. As if he thought that if I killed the kids, I'd get him or something, which it would be the furthest thing from true, because I know how much he hates kinks.
This is another thing narcissists do that they don't realize they do. They slip up and tell on themselves. Alright, because before now, the secretly recorded phone calls between her and Knickerbocker hadn't happened yet. So she's already coming up with the story as to what Nick might say, because she knows in her mind that's why she did what she did. So it's kind of unintentionally telling on herself that she just automatically assumes Nick is going to say this, so that if it comes up, because that's what it looks like to everybody else, so she knows that's what it's going to look like to everybody else. She knows it's going to look like she did this for him once the whole truth comes out. So she wanted to go ahead and cover herself in the beginning, so that if it comes out looking like that, it will be Knickerbocker that made the claim, not her, when in reality that's exactly why she did what she did. I'm not trying to talk into riddles. I'm not trying to make this complicated. Basically, to break it down, is, mind you, this recording here that we're watching was done while she was in the hospital, right after this incident happened. So this was fresh in the interrogation. This was like the first questioning of the interrogation. So she was already coming up with this stuff. You see what I mean? Like, she was already expecting what Nick might say, because again, she knows that's how it's going to look, because she knows that's why she did it. And that's what I'm trying to say, is she knows she did it to get him back. So, but she brought it up to make it look like Nick is the one that thought that's why she did it, not that being the reason why she did it, if that makes sense. So basically, meaning her story is just bizarre, because it's just fabricated. Because the truth is, like I said in the beginning of this video, when I pointed out, she's like, well, we were out sightseeing. It was after sightseeing. I'm sorry. It was after school. We'd already had dinner, so we was out just sightseeing. How are you sightseeing at 11:30 at night when you can't see anything? That part doesn't make sense. And then you go down a road that you've never been down. And then you quote-unquote stop for a stranger after Knickerbocker had told you many times not to do it. You did it anyway, and quote-unquote did it anyway. And then your kids end up getting shot. One was, and my opinion is one was murdered and the other two were attempted murder. That's my opinion. And because she felt that's the only reason, or the only way she can get Knickerbocker, and that's why she came up with that explanation, is because she knew that's why she did it. She just wanted to project that claim onto him so that she doesn't look guilty.
And so it devastated her, and I'm shocked. I can't believe he'd say that. And as I said before, as soon as I'm well enough, I'm going to go to Arizona and I'm going to ask him why he would say such a thing, why he would even think such a thing. And as I was saying also, the only thing I can imagine is that he went home and told his wife what happened, and she probably said, well, it figures she's that type of a person, because she...
See? And again, this is what narcissists will do, is they go into this mindset that this is how people are going to view them. And this is what's called projection. Is they know why they did what they did. And this is kind of breaking down what I just said, because I know what I just said was a little confusing. So this is kind of breaking that down. Basically what they're doing is they know why they did what they did. She knows she shot them kids to get him to come to her. And she knew he said that he would not come to Oregon because he didn't want to be a dad. So the only way in her mind to get him to Oregon was to get rid of the kids. So she come up with this whole scheme, this whole story. And because she knows how it looks to everybody else, because it's blatantly obvious what happened, what actually happened, and the motive behind it. But now she's trying to project all this stuff onto, well, this is why he said this, and this person said that, and he went running back to her, and he told her this, and she told her, or told him that. And the reality is she was starting to look bad. So she was trying to cover herself. And this is again what it all really boils down to, is she knew she did this to get this man back. And she's the negative attention. But alright, alright. So to break it down real quick, to give you a better explanation as to what I'm talking about. Narcissists always see themselves in a negative light. So they need other people to make them feel better about themselves. They know they're not any good. They know they've got all these problems. They know that they can't live up to the expectations that they are projecting or pretending to be. Like, they always pretend to be this, or like better than they are. And they need people to believe that. But in their mind, they already know they're a bad person. So that's why they put on this facade to come out as a good person, because that's the way they want everybody to see them. They don't want to see, or they don't want everybody to see who they really are, because they know who they really are is a bad person. And so what they would do is they would project that negative energy that they feel about themselves onto other people to make them seem like the ones that are bad-mouthing her. That way she can continue to play the victim. And I hope that breaks it down a little bit better, because I know it got kind of confusing the last couple minutes, but that's what they do, is they're already feeling negative about themselves. So they're going to push that onto other people that surround them, so that when these people start saying these things, because she knows how she's been through this whole time, she knows there's a negative opinion about her, so she pushes it onto them, so that when they bring it up, it makes them look like monsters, because they're bad-mouthing, quote-unquote, bad-mouthing a mother that just lost her kids. When the reality is, they're telling the truth about a mother who shot her kids in order to get a man to move to Oregon. That's how this is. I hope that makes better sense.
Done everything else she could to defame me, and this would just be the final piece. And maybe he is just trying to find an easy out. Maybe it's a defense mechanism for him. He has to choose between her and me. He loves us both equally. And right now it's easier for him to stay with her because she's right there in the state. But he also can't deny the fact that he loves me. He never could. When I talked to him the other day, something was said about, he had tears in his eyes. Oh, I know, it was when I saw him.
Again, this is how narcissists will flip. Like, they still trip up themselves. Like, this is why narcissists are not good at telling lies, really, because they can't keep up with the lie that he just told. She said, he knows he wants to be with me. He always loved me, and he has always said that. When earlier in this particular video, she, out of her own mouth, said that Steve told her that he doesn't want to see her anymore, don't come back. But then turn right around and say, well, I know he loves his wife, but he loves me too, and he still wants to be with me. You see what I mean? This is why I said in the narcissist video, is that I could point this out at the snap of a finger, is because when you listen to the whole story, when you actually start picking the story apart, you start seeing discrepancies between what's being said.
I said, you can't tell me you don't love me, Nick. And he says, no, I can't. And he does, and he couldn't deny that love. So maybe this is his way, his subconscious way of saying, hey, I don't love you anymore, and trying to live with it. Maybe if he thinks that I'm really as ugly as everybody is saying that I am, it's easier for him to accept that, and then he doesn't have to make a decision. So I don't know. I don't understand him totally. I used to. I don't anymore. I guess I don't understand him because I can't understand how he could think that of me, because, like I said, think of me as I am, not as people say I am. And,
You think he's influenced by...
But, again, she's... Alright, to break that part down, just really, really quick, and I'm probably going to end it on this note. There's about 20 minutes or so into this recording. I don't know. We'll see how this goes from here. But I'm gonna end it on this note. There's more to this in an interview, but I think we've broken down a lot of this to where you can start to understand and see the differences in the stories that the narcissist will tell. As I said, like, first off, she's saying Knickerbocker didn't want anything to do with her. He didn't want her to come back to Arizona. Then he turned around and said, "Don't tell me you don't love me." And then by her claim was he said, "Yes, I do." And then she said, "Well, you know, I thought I understood him, but I don't understand him apparently because I don't understand how he thinks I would do this." And going back to the secretly recorded videos of them two, he clearly said, "I think you did it, and this is why." And he even in that same recording said, "I know you better than that." That's what he said. "I know you better than that." And this is what narcissists are afraid of when people are speaking out, which also, again, go back to that particular video in that part where she was trying to talk him out of taking the lie detector test, is because he knows her very well. He knows how she thinks and what she's capable of doing. And so she's trying to talk him out of that lie detector test because she's afraid of the truth coming out. Basically, that's what it comes down to, is she's afraid he's going to tell them the truth and they're going to know that she is the monster that she's pretending to not be. So I'm going to end that video there, everybody. Honestly, I didn't even mean to turn this into this big of a series, but I just keep coming up with more and more things about the Diane Downs case that hasn't been covered. Because I've looked all over YouTube and all over the internet, and I haven't seen very many people, if any, that's actually covered this story other than news channels. So again, I hope you made it this far. If you did, I very greatly much appreciate that. If you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe button, the notification bell so you can see the future videos that are coming out. And as always, leave in the comments your thoughts, your opinions, and what you think about this case, and anything you agree with or disagree with. Me personally, I don't agree, I don't delete any comments. There was actually somebody had mentioned that before, that oh, this person deletes comments, and I haven't deleted any comments. I don't do that. YouTube might, but I don't. And that's because YouTube's got guidelines based on whatever it was your comment was. YouTube took care of that. I'm busy putting all this together and taking care of real life, that I don't have time to scroll through every single comment and delete the ones that I don't like. And two is, I will never silence anybody. I believe in the First Amendment. I believe in everybody's right to their own opinions and whatever the case may be. So I'm not going to delete your comment just because you make a negative opinion. Everybody has their opinions, good or bad, and you have your right to it. I'm not going to delete your comments for that. But everybody, I appreciate y'all being here. Please subscribe and pay attention, and support the channel and do all that good YouTube stuff. And I will see y'all in the next one. Y'all have a good one.